Welcome to the deep dive. Ever stop to think about what that little booklet, your passport, really means?
Yeah, beyond just, planning trips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're not just talking holiday snaps today. We're diving into this idea of passport power.
hmm
It's this concept that kind of quietly shapes your global mobility, but also, surprisingly, says a lot about where a country stands in the world.
It really does. And we've got some interesting info that looks at it from a couple of different angles.
Right, because most people probably just think, okay, how many countries can I visit easily?
That's the usual starting point, definitely. Visa-free travel. And that's, well, a huge part of it.
But it gets deeper.
Oh, yeah. What's really interesting is how different groups measure this power. We're looking mainly at two big ones.
Okay.
There's the Henley Passport Index. They're pretty much focused on that raw number, visa-free access.
Got it. The travel freedom metric.
Exactly. But then you've got the Nomad Capitalist Passport Index. They take a much wider view.
Wider.
Well, they look at things like taxation, how a country taxes its citizens, even abroad, personal freedoms inside the country, whether you can hold dual citizenship, things like that.
Ah, okay. So more about the overall value of that citizenship, not just the travel aspect.
Precisely. And because they use different criteria,
You get different results, different rankings.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
it offers a much richer picture, for you listening.
So our mission today for this deep dive is to unpack what makes a passport powerful according to these different views.
And pull out the key takeaways.
Let's get into it. Who are the top players then, according to these indices?
Okay, so if we start with the Nomad Capitalist list, they actually put Luxembourg at number 1.
Luxembourg. Interesting. Why them?
Well, the travel part is strong, definitely. Visa-free access to 177 countries. That's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
But what Nomad Capitalist really highlights is Luxembourg's approach to dual citizenship. They allow it pretty freely.
And that boosts the ranking.
Significantly. That flexibility, being able to hold multiple passports, apparently adds to what the index calls its brilliant reputation.
Brilliant reputation. I
Well-
like that phrase. It sounds like it's more than just practical stuff.
Exactly. It hints at, how the country itself is viewed, trustworthy, stable.
Like a kind of soft power thing
Yeah.
reflected in your passport.
You could definitely see it that way, yeah. Things like political stability, a reliable economy, maybe a history of positive international relations. It all feeds into that perception.
Which then maybe makes other countries more welcoming.
Plausibly, yes. It greases the wheels, so to speak.
Okay, that's Luxembourg from the nomad capitalist angle.
Yeah.
Now, flipping over to Henley. Who do they have at the top?
Henley's number 1 is Japan.
Japan. But
And they boast visa-free access to an amazing 180 countries.
wow, 180. That's huge.
It is. And something our sources pointed out, which is quite interesting, is this trend of Asian passports gaining power, particularly in recent years.
Oh, really? Why is that?
A big driver seems to have been a wave of new visa waiver agreements signed by several Asian governments back in 2018.
Ah, so it wasn't just organic change. It was active diplomacy.
Precisely. Countries actively negotiating to improve access for their citizens. It shows this isn't static.
Right. It's constantly shifting based on international relations.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is there anyone who scores well on both lists?
Yes, Ireland comes up strong in both indices.
Ireland. Okay. What's their story?
They offer visa-free entry to 176 countries, so really good travel freedom.
Solid.
And fitting with that broader nomad capitalist view, Ireland allows dual citizenship too, so that adds flexibility.
Right.
Plus, one source even mentioned Ireland being known as one of the happiest countries.
Huh. That's interesting. Do you think there's a link? Like a happy country makes for a powerful passport? Seems a bit indirect.
It's probably not direct cause and effect, no. But you could argue, perhaps, that a country focused on its citizens' well-being might also foster better international ties.
Projecting a positive image, maybe. Like, we're a stable, happy place, trust our citizens.
Something like that. It's speculative, but an interesting correlation nonetheless.
Definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, who else is consistently up there? Singapore.
Singapore, yes. A real powerhouse. Their exact rank might wobble a bit between the lists, but they consistently offer top-tier access 179 visa-free countries currently.
Almost matching Japan.
Exactly. And the sources emphasize Singapore's growing global reputation. as a major hub for finance, tech, trade.
So their global influence plays a role.
Seems likely. That reputation probably helps smooth the way for its passport holders. Even though it's a small nation, its impact is big.
Right. Size isn't everything. It's about standing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk Portugal. I gather they made a big jump on one of the lists.
Yeah, Portugal's interesting. They have solid visa-free access, 177 countries, and they allow dual citizenship.
Okay.
But their big move was on the Nomad Capitalist Index. They jumped, I think it was 11 spots back in 2017.
Wow. Why such a big leap?
It seems largely linked to high scores for personal freedom within the country.
Freedom. So that factor really carries weight in the Nomad Capitalist ranking.
Definitely. It shows it's not just about crossing borders, but the quality of life and liberty that citizenship offers.
That's a powerful idea. Okay, Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Near the top for Henley, right? But maybe not as high on Nomad Capitalist.
Spot on. Germany ties for second on Henley's list.
Yeah.
Access to 179 countries. Amazing travel freedom.
Yeah.
But they rank lower on the Nomad Capitalist Index, and that probably reflects those other factors coming into play.
Like what, potentially?
Could be taxation policies, maybe regulations, perhaps perceptions around personal or financial freedom compared to some other top countries. It just highlights the different priorities of the two indices.
It really does. Henley is laser focused on that border access. Can you get in easily?
Yep. Pure mobility based on visa rules.
Well, as Nomad Capitalist is asking, what's the overall value of holding this passport in a globalized world?
Exactly. Beyond tourism, what does this citizenship mean for your life, your finances, your options globally? It's more holistic.
Okay, now there's a whole group clustered together in third place on the Henley Index. Finland, South Korea, Sweden. Who else?
Denmark, France, Italy, and Spain are in that group too, all offering visa-free access to 178 countries.
So that's the tiebreaker for Henley. But do they differ elsewhere?
Well, what's noted is that Denmark, Italy, Spain, and Sweden tend to rank highly across both systems consistently.
Ah, okay. Why might that be?
It suggests that besides great travel access, they also have those other qualities valued by nomad capitalists, good reputations for freedom, acceptance of dual citizenship.
So they tick more boxes overall, perhaps, compared to, say, Finland or South Korea in that same travel bracket?
That seems to be the implication. The combination gives them an edge in the broader assessment.
Interesting. It's not just the open doors, but the welcome mat and the house rules, so to speak.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, let's head down under, metaphorically. New Zealand. Often cited for quality of life, right?
Definitely. Often pops up in those happiest nations lists, and its passport reflects that strength.
How so?
Well, they offer visa-free access to a very respectable 173 countries. But importantly, they also score high on personal freedom, and they allow multiple citizenships.
So again, that combination of travel ease and internal liberties.
Exactly. Makes it valuable, especially through that wider nomad capitalist lens.
Happiness and freedom boosting passport power.
Mm.
It's a recurring theme. Now, Malta. There was mention of a citizenship by investment program.
Yes, Malta. They also offer visa-free entry to 173 countries, so tied with New Zealand on the Henley scale.
Yeah.
And that citizenship by investment program, well, it's likely helped boost its profile and ranking. Attracting investment in globally connected people can enhance a country's standing.
So government policy can be a direct lever.
It seems so. And like many European nations, Malta also offers its citizens a high degree of personal freedom.
Got it. Okay, wrapping out the top-tier discussion, Belgium.
Belgium, yeah. Performs well across the board, strong in both charts. They've got visa-free access to 174 countries.
And that's an improvement.
It is, apparently up from 154 in previous years, so they're actively increasing their global reach, too.
Okay, wow. So pulling this all together, some clear themes are definitely emerging.
For sure.
The biggest one, maybe, is just how differently these two main indices view power. Henley is all about the travel numbers.
Pure, simple, visa-free access. How many borders can you cross without prior paperwork?
But Nomad Capitalist really pushes us to think bigger. What makes a citizenship valuable today?
Absolutely. They're looking at your whole life as a global citizen. Taxes, freedom, dual nationality options. It's much broader than just where you can go on holiday.
And that trend with Asian passports,
Yeah.
that felt significant too, those 2018 agreements.
Huge. It shows how diplomacy, actual negotiations between countries, can really shift the needle on passport power quite quickly.
Yeah, it's not just happening by itself.
No, it's actively managed.
And the constant mention of freedom within a country and allowing dual citizenship, these seem really key, especially for that nomad capitalist perspective.
Definitely. They're seen as major assets. Dual citizenship opens up options, travel, work, finance. And strong internal freedoms just make citizenship more attractive overall.
It also felt like there's this maybe soft connection between a country's general vibe, its reputation, quality of life, and its passport strength, like Ireland and New Zealand being happiest.
Suggestive, isn't it? Maybe countries that treat their own citizens well, prioritize well-being, also tend to build more trust internationally.
Could be, leading to more visa waivers down the line, projecting stability and shared values.
Plausible.
Yeah.
It's about how the country is perceived globally.
And finally, that point about the U.S. having been #1 on Henley not that long ago, back in 2015.
Right. That really drives home how dynamic this all is. Nothing is set in stone. Rankings change.
Global politics, diplomatic ties, internal policies. They all feed into it.
Constantly evolving.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it's really clear that passport power is way more than just a number. It's complex.
It truly is. It reflects a nation's place in the world, its relationships, and the freedoms it offers its people.
And the top passports generally give you that amazing travel freedom, yes.
But their strength often seems amplified by things like commitment to personal liberty, openness to dual nationality, that positive global standing.
Which brings us to the final thought, really, for everyone listening.
Yeah.
What does passport power actually mean to you? Is it purely about maximizing those visa-free travel options, seeing the world easily?
Or do you weigh those other factors more heavily? Personal freedom, the flexibility of multiple citizenships, how your nationality is perceived. Thinking about that balance.
Might give you a fresh perspective on citizenship, global identity, and what really matters in our connected world today.
Definitely food for thought.
Indeed. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. Until next time.